So ChatGPT is basically a large language model developed by OpenAI. It can answer questions, write video scripts and novels, and even write code. It is a big step forward in the field of AI and one of the algorithms that attracted so much attention. But today, I try to use it to make art. I'm not expecting similar results to DALL-E 2 or Stable Diffusion out of the language model, but if it can write code, maybe it can write code that can draw too. So I started with something easy. I asked ChatGPT to write Python code that creates an empty 500 by 500 pixel square and draws it on the screen using Matplotlib. Unsurprisingly, it was able to make it, and you can see the result on the screen. So I tried to make him draw a simple shape, a blue triangle with a black background, and it was able to do it again. Although the visible triangle is red, that's because OpenCV is using BGR channel ordering instead of RGB. It may not look too difficult, but at this point I was really impressed. Let's keep in mind that the model has no access to the internet, so it must have had tons of samples of code and somehow understands which part of the code is responsible for which part of the general algorithm. So I moved on to a more challenging task, the code that draws 100 randomly colored squares in random locations. And it did great. It set up a loop of 100 iterations and picked a random position, random color, and drew a square in each of those. So it can draw simple shapes, write loops and pick colors. Can it draw something more mathematical? I ran 3 experiments asking ChatGPT to draw fractals, and all of them were awesome. I believe it should have had algorithms for drawing fractals in its training data, as there is a lot of information about them on the internet. My next tests included drawing 3D shapes, and I thought these would appear pretty hard, as usually you have to project the 3D shape onto a 2D plane, and that requires basic use of linear algebra. It struggled to draw a cube, but after a bit of debugging, I was able to make it run. What is more impressive is that it produced a code to draw a more difficult shape, torus. Basic shapes, fractals and 3D shapes seem to be definitely possible, so I went with the real challenge. I asked it to draw a few of the most well-known paintings, Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci and Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. And at first it was trying to cheat. It simply wrote code that would read an image from memory and display it on the screen. But then I asked it to approximate them with simple shapes, and the result was very far from the original ones. And it is understandable. It hasn't seen those images. It has read the descriptions of paintings at best. So I went for the last experiment. I remember seeing an amazing algorithm that approximates painting using simple shapes if you give it a source image. It is understandable that ChatGPT cannot draw a painting it has never seen, but maybe it can write a genetic algorithm that does this given the source image. And the result wasn't success as well, but it was able to write a genetic algorithm that was able to run and required minimal debugging. What's more, it gave a few suggestions for fitness functions, which is impressive. The only problem was that it wasn't able to evolve given picture. So it can definitely write code and quite good code. It struggles to debug it sometimes, but the result is very impressive. Generative models like DALL-E take text as an input and produce an image as an output, but ChatGPT takes text and produces text in response. It is extremely hard or near impossible to write code that would draw images by only seeing the descriptions of those images. At least, I had no luck with my experiments. But again, it is a very specific use case, and I didn't expect too much. I explored the possibilities of ChatGPT during the past few days, and it feels like I only scratched the surface. It is truly a remarkable piece of software that required a lot of hard work from the brightest minds in the field of machine learning. Be sure to check it out. That's it from me for this time. Take care.